Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this week's National Bleeding Disorders Foundation, formerly National Hemophilia Foundation, Wednesday webinar. My name is Fiona Robinson, and I'm the series host. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to the community on the NBDF website, bleeding.org, shortly after the webinar. In today's webinar, we will learn how to empower your journey as we explore the Own Your Path and Thrive programs with NBDF's education team. We encourage you to ask any questions you may have today. You can ask your question by using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen at any time during the webinar. We will monitor your questions, and then following our speakers' presentations, we'll put your questions to them. Today, we are joined by 4 members of the NBDF education team: Education Specialist Ryan Sarshuri, Manager of Education Heather Hicks, Director of Education Lena Volland, and Senior Director of Education Brendan Hayes. Presentations today will be in 2 parts. After the first part on Own Your Path, we'll take a break for questions, and then we'll continue with the portion on the Thrive program. I'd like to thank Brendan, Lena, Heather, and Ryan for joining us today, and I'll turn things over now to Brendan to get us started.
Thank you, Fiona. As Fiona mentioned, my name is Brendan Hayes, and I'm the Senior Director of Education at NBDF, and I am joined by the other members of the project team, so Heather and Ryan are on. And we're very excited to provide more information today on the Own Your Path program. We're going to discuss the outcomes of our pilot, how we have expanded the program to make it a bit more inclusive, a general program overview, a behind the scenes look at the application or app, and then information on eligibility and how to actually sign up for Own Your Path. Next slide. The National Bleeding Disorders Foundation is dedicated to finding cures for inheritable blood and bleeding disorders and to addressing and preventing the complications of these disorders through research, education, and advocacy, enabling people and families to thrive. The Own Your Path program supports our mission by teaching people with bleeding disorders how they can improve their quality of life by learning more about their own bleeding disorder and sticking to their treatment plan. Next slide. Okay, thought to start with some background information. The program was created through a cooperative agreement with NBDF and the CDC. We also partnered with NextJ Connected Wellness, a health app company. NextJ supports multiple chronic diseases and has developed extensive resources on healthy lifestyle management. Own Your Path began as a pilot program. It was focused on US-based adult males aged 18 to 29 on prophy for hemophilia A or B. The program was originally designed to increase treatment adherence during those transition years, so moving out of the home, going off to college, etc. Hence that narrow audience. Although we had a small number of participants, we learned a great deal. We received very positive feedback and recognized the value of this type of program for people with bleeding disorders. Several individuals applied to the program, but were not eligible because they were over 29. They had a different bleeding disorder, or they were part of our women and people who have or had the potential to menstruate community. Clearly, there is a demand for this type of programming outside this narrow pilot, and we're going to cover program expansion in some upcoming slides. Next slide, please. So, Own Your Path, what's the why? So we recognize the value of adherence to long-term outcomes, and we wanted to create a program that showcases the benefit of prophy along with a plan to get into a healthy routine. We all lose track of our habits and goals on occasion, and this program focuses on getting participants back on track through education, support, and coaching. There's more to being adherent than just doing your treatments on time. So the app also includes valuable information on lifestyle management, including things like goal setting, managing stress, improving sleep, exercise, and more. We also have financial incentives along the way to keep it fun and engaging. Next slide. We all know that there are a lot of benefits to being adherent. We wanted to emphasize those benefits of adhering to a prophylactic regimen throughout the program. Things like fewer bleeding episodes, reduction in joint disease, decreased pain, fewer sick days, and an overall higher quality of life. We stress these benefits throughout the program and work with participants to build a personalized plan to get them there. Next slide, please. Now, there are several factors that lead to declining health in the U.S. Things like anxiety, depression, sleep, and stress. The Own Your Path program is designed to be whole person centric and includes coaching from a certified health coach and a vast library of resources that can be consumed on your time. Being adherent to treatment is only part of the solution. As we all know, it's hard to be adherent to treatment if other areas of our life are not in order. So things like emotional health, sleep, and stress management are also really important. If you're staying up late to study, to work, or for caregiving, getting up and doing a treatment at 7 o'clock in the morning isn't desirable or always feasible. These types of issues are explored with the health coach. And we're going to provide more details on this later in the presentation. Next slide. As discussed, feedback was very favorable. We've included a few quotes here from participants for you to review. Overall, participants reported increased confidence in treating, increased skills to manage their bleeding disorder, improvements in goal setting and building healthy habits, and a strong appreciation of their health coaches. Participants also enjoyed the ability to add different trackers to the platform to monitor things like steps and sleep. Due to the positive feedback and the multitude of resources we created for the program, we wanted to expand it to a larger audience. Next slide. So before we move on to the specifics, I wanted to highlight a few of the additional benefits of the Own Your Path program. We are blessed to have effective treatments for many bleeding disorders, but living with those bleeding disorders is often challenging. This program provides tools and resources in one location to help participants lead healthy, vibrant lives with a bleeding disorder. This is a program that you can do at your own pace and can be done in around an hour or less per week. A cornerstone of the program is helping participants to recognize obstacles and to build a plan to overcome them. Next up is Heather Hicks, Manager of Education, who will speak more to about the program expansion and how it works. Heather? Heather, I believe you're on mute.
So who is eligible for our program now? We are excited that with our new program expansion, we're able to offer the Own Your Path program to men and WPPM who are 18 years or older. Participants need to have either hemophilia A, hemophilia B, or VWD. They need to be on prophy and reside in the US or a US territory. This program is currently only available in English. Participants will need to meet all criteria to be eligible for the program. Next slide, please. The Own Your Path program consists of 3 main program components: workbooks, health coaching, and monthly meetups. We have developed a total of 58 workbooks that teach skills that are helpful to know if you have a bleeding disorder. Topics include steps to self-infusion or self-injection, disclosing a bleeding disorder at work or school, traveling with a bleeding disorder, and many more. The second component of Own Your Path is the health coach. This was an extremely popular part of the program during our pilot. Each participant can schedule up to 4 calls with their health coach through the platform. The current health coach is a kinesiologist and we have met with her to provide information about hemophilia A and B, VWD, challenges that the WPPM population who have a bleeding disorder may face, challenges that younger adults may face, for instance, transitioning to living on their own, starting college for the first time, or entering the workforce, and challenges that older adults may experience, such as having comorbidities along with a bleeding disorder. The third component of the Own Your Path program is the monthly meetups. This is a time for participants to experience in-depth learning on a particular topic. It's also a great time for them to meet other individuals who have a bleeding disorder. Last year, we had a variety of NBDF staff speak at the meetups, as well as the health coach from the platform. Some of the topics we presented on last year included information about gene and innovative therapies, safe physical activity, and understanding health insurance. Next slide, please. So how does this all work? The first time participants log into the Own Your Path platform, they receive an initial intake survey. This survey asks them questions about their bleeding disorder to gauge their current knowledge. Some examples asked are, I know which treatment product I'm taking, or I know the type and subtype of von Willebrand disease that I have. Based on participants' answers, they are provided with workbooks on the platform that correspond to topics that they need to increase their knowledge in. For example, a person who doesn't know the name of their treatment product will receive a workbook that explains what they should know about their treatment product, like the name of the medication, their dose, and how the treatment is administered. Workbooks are released throughout the entirety of the 6-month program. NextJ has an extensive privacy policy and identifiable information from surveys and other information provided on the app by participants is protected and secure. Each participant is assigned a participant ID consisting of letters and numbers. When NBDF is provided with program data for evaluation purposes, participant IDs are used to ensure that information collected remains de-identified. To further enhance the participant experience, each participant is encouraged to schedule a call with the health coach approximately every 6 weeks during the program. The health coach speaks with the participant about their health goals, helps the participant identify any barriers to achieving their goals, and brainstorms with the participant about how to overcome those barriers they've identified. One of the goals will be related to treatment adherence, and participants can also make a second goal, such as reducing stress, increasing physical activity, making healthy meals. In addition to the workbooks and health coach, the app also has pieces such as health library, trackers, and goal-setting worksheet. The health library is a wealth of information about living an overall healthy lifestyle. It has tips for making nutritious meals. It has learning for how to meditate and information on how to get better sleep at night. These resources are available to all participants. Next slide, please. We wanted to tailor our program so all participants would feel like there's information that is just for them, since we know that each bleeding disorder has its own unique characteristics. For hemophilia, we have specific workbooks about both hemophilia A and hemophilia B, information about different levels of severity of hemophilia, and types of treatments available for hemophilia. We also have information about scheduling an appointment at your HTC, information about the role of the healthcare team and each member of the healthcare team at the HTC, and information about future therapies such as rebalancing agents. Next slide, please. In addition to workbooks that apply to both hemophilia and VWD, we have specific workbooks with information about the types and subtypes of VWD and different treatment options for VWD. To our knowledge, this is one of just a few initiatives that has information specific to people who have VWD. Next slide, please. For WPPM, we have workbooks that teach WPPM how to practice self-advocacy if they feel like their treatment plan isn't working. We also have information about different types of treatment options that WPPM may use to manage their bleeding disorder. This is one of just a few initiatives that we know about that is designed specifically for WPPM who have already been diagnosed with a bleeding disorder and are on Prophy. Next up, our education specialist, Ryan Sarshuri, is going to show us what the app looks like.
There are many exciting components to the Own Your Path app program for eligible participants. When first logging on, participants will be shown their dashboard, which contains upcoming workbooks they need to be completed, a handy treatment log to keep track of treatments, the circle of care, which includes the program concierge and health coach, health library content, and various trackers, such as the pain tracker shown on the right-hand side of the slide. Participants can make appointments with the health coach through the dashboard or the Care Plans tab and use goal trackers to keep on target with health or treatment goals. As Heather mentioned earlier, workbooks are a large part of the Own Your Path program. When participants click on a workbook, a set of slides will begin. The first slide will contain the topic of the workbook, and as participants move through the information on each slide, they'll learn more about the specified topic. The workbooks are not typically long, and they range anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes to complete. At the end of each workbook, there is a knowledge check, which tests the participants' understanding of the workbook content. The knowledge check are usually around 2 to 5 questions that range from multiple choice, true or false, short answer, or matching. When a participant completes a workbook and finishes the knowledge check, the workbook is considered complete, and the participant can move on to other workbooks. The Health Library is an exciting resource for Own Your Path participants. There are hundreds of resources available in the Health Library, all accessible to the program participants. The Health Library can be filtered by topic or by search using the handy search bar at the top of the library. Health Library topics range from specific articles about certain bleeding disorders, mental health topics, treatment options and therapies, recipes, workouts, and much more. We have added NBDF resources that provide extra information about bleeding disorders in general. Some of the extra resources include the Playing It Safe guide, which gives a score to different types of physical activity based on how safe each type is for someone who has a bleeding disorder. We also have our newly released MASAC for You documents that have recommendations written for consumers, specifically our WPPM community, including important knowledge that is needed before, during, and after pregnancy and during delivery. The health coach can point participants to specific articles from the Health Library and browse through Health Library topics on their own. The information provided on the Health Library primarily comes from NextJ Health, NBDF, and the CDC. You may be wondering about how to sign up for this program. The QR code on the screen will take you to the Own Your Path webpage on NBDF's website, bleeding.org. We are excited to show the community all our inclusive updates to the webpage, which also includes the link for the eligibility survey. Simply scan the QR code, scroll down to the button labeled Take the Survey, and the eligibility survey should pop up. It takes on average about 5 to 8 minutes to complete. And once you've completed the survey, you'll either be contacted by NBDF staff letting you know your eligibility status or by NextJ with your login information. We're very excited to have new folks join this program. For those who may be interested in sharing information about the Own Your Path program, there are 4 different flyers designed for specific eligible populations that you can access and print on the Own Your Path webpage, which is linked in the QR code on the screen. You can even email our team at ownyourpath@bleeding.org, and we can send you copies of any of these flyers. The Own Your Path program is paid for by our cooperative agreement with the CDC. For more information about our CDC cooperative agreement, please go to either bleeding.org or cdc.org. We look forward to welcoming new participants to this exciting program. I will now turn it back over to Fiona.
Super. Thank you very much for that really interesting presentation. I really appreciate hearing about this program and how it can benefit the community. Just before we dive into our Q&A, I want to just draw the attention of our audience to the chat. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should see a chat icon. And if you click on it, you should see a link there that I dropped into the chat, which takes you also to the website of the Own Your Path program. So you might want to just take a second to copy and save that somewhere so that you continue to have access to that after the webinar ends. So we can get started with our questions for Heather, Ryan, Brendan on the Own Your Path. And just a reminder that we will follow that with the presentation on the Thrive program and take questions for that after that presentation. So a question, maybe it's a reverse question, which is maybe not really fair, but you said that you can fill out an eligibility survey and it sounds like you have a lot of different people who are eligible. So who is not eligible for this program?
I am going to ask Heather to answer that question.
Sure. Thanks, Brendan. So we currently are not enrolling anyone who is below the age of 18 years old. There are special permissions and things that need to be set up before we would be able to enroll this particular population. So at this time, we're not able to take anyone under 18. We also are not able to take anyone from a country that is outside of the US. So due to this being a CDC cooperative agreement, currently it is only for those living in the US or US territories. We know that there are many other bleeding disorders besides just hemophilia and VWD. We are not able to take anyone that has a bleeding disorder if it's not hemophilia A or B or VWD. And we also only offer this program in English. So if somebody does live in the United States or a US territory and does not speak English, unfortunately, at this time, we're not able to have them enroll in the program. And I think that's it. I think I hit all the populations.
So that leads to another maybe quick follow-up question, which is, are there any plans to translate it? Is there an opportunity maybe to eventually make it available in a language other than English?
We would love to in the future, certainly make it available to other languages. So that's something that we've got our eye on for future iterations of this program.
Great. And so all of the resources that come with it, are they only available to people who meet the eligibility criteria, or are some of them available on the website even if you can't enroll in the program?
Right now we have probably close to 60 workbooks, so it's a pretty extensive library. And then I can't even imagine how many, probably hundreds of resources in our health library. And so right now those are in the Next J app that we had discussed. So only those who are eligible for the program have direct access to those.
Right.
Now, I will say that if someone is interested in learning more about what the content is, we're more than happy to have a conversation and share that information. If we have healthcare providers on the call that are interested in learning more about the program, we would love to set up a meeting with you and we can walk you through what the platform looks like. And the best way to get in touch with us would be at ownyourpath@bleeding.org. And we'll follow up and schedule some time with you.
Great. Okay. I think that probably answers this question that we did have come from an audience member asking whether the HTCs have access to the workbooks and the health library. And I suppose in a way, that's sort of a two-part question. I'm going to maybe overinterpret their question, but the health library is a lot of resources. The workbooks, people are filling those in. So let's say I am attending an HTC for my care. I'm filling in a workbook on the app. Would my care team at the HTC have access to the information I'm putting into the app?
Well, the thing that's I think really great about this program is there are just a ton of privacy built into this. And so you can certainly share the information with your hemophilia treatment center, but they won't have direct access to it unless you allow them to have that information. Yeah, so they won't necessarily know how you answer any of the questions in your workbook. And BDF staff won't really know how you answer questions in the workbook. That's really a tool that you would learn, that you would use to learn.
Mhm.
And the conversations that you will have with your health coach and that relationship are also, that's also private information too. And so, you know, you can feel comfortable and confident in what you need to share with the health coach, what you want to share with the health coach. I think it's also important to note in regards to the health coaches, a lot of people who have bleeding disorders feel like they are constantly telling their story. They're constantly talking about their bleeding disorder and their history from birth to wherever they are today. And the nice thing about this is these health coaches aren't really focused on helping you treat your bleeding disorder. They're focused on helping you to be adherent and to live a great life. And so, you know, if you do have questions that are specific to your bleeding disorder, they will likely refer you to one of the workbooks or one of the NBDF staff, who will then refer you to someone at your treatment center to answer those health specific questions.
Okay, so it really can work hand in hand with your relationship with your HTC. And I know that it's intended for, if I understand correctly, people who are using prophylaxis. Is that right?
That's
And
correct.
does it have a role to play anywhere in shared decision making and consideration of whether the treatment that you're having, that you're receiving, is the right one for you, and or whether, because as other treatment options become available, you know, is there a way that this app also kind of addresses that question of, okay, I've been infusing for like 15 years. Is this still the right thing for me? Or I've recently started using something else. Is it the right thing for me? Is that part of kind of what this looks at as well, or?
I think a byproduct of Own Your Path is a more well-educated consumer. So you're going to learn more about what treatment options are available. And I think that naturally leads to more informed conversations with your provider in terms of shared decision making. So, you know, I think this provides an excellent opportunity to learn more and to share what you have learned with your provider and to ask questions.
Right, great. So really puts you on a more equal footing for those conversations. Okay,
Absolutely.
maybe with just like we've got just a couple of minutes before we switch over to the other portion of the webinar, maybe I can just ask you each, and then maybe I can start with Ryan if I'll put you on the spot, Ryan. Can you tell me like one favorite thing about this app? Like what's one of the like super thing you think this app offers?
I would say my favorite thing about this app is for sure the health library. I love the way that you can filter different topics. And so, for example, if you're struggling with something really specific going on in your life, you can absolutely go into the health library, type that in, and it's going to show you resources that are either, you know, directly related to whatever's going on or maybe congruently related. And that is a really handy tool to have. And this information isn't just NBDF resources. They do come from NextJ Health and the CDC. So obviously there's an abundance of knowledge in the health library.
Great. Yeah, that sounds super. Heather, what about you?
I think my favorite thing in the app is the availability of the health coach. So having somebody who can really brainstorm with you about what are some of the reasons that you might not be able or be taking your treatment the way your doctor has prescribed, and how can we get you back on track, and how can we help you with your other health goals. The fact that this is free and available is an amazing feature, I think, of this program.
Yeah, that sounds terrific. Brendan?
I think I would have to say that the thing that I'm really super excited about is it's an app. And I think people aren't as inclined to do, you know, kind of programs where they're in front of their laptop all the time. The cool thing about this is you can be standing in line at the grocery store and you can do a workbook on your phone. So, I mean, that's just awesome. I also love that there's privacy built in. So I don't have to feel bad about not being an expert at any one thing. It's okay for me to say, yeah, I don't know if I'm really super knowledgeable about that. So I want to learn more. And no one needs to know about that. So I really love that.
Great, super. Well, thank you. Thank you both, all three actually, for all of that information. I think it's really exciting, and I hope people will follow that link and take a look at this, the Own Your Path app.